Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about books and I'm going to be doing a video on my favourite reads of 2023. So some of the books are not like all 5 stars, but they're still like my favourite books. So let's start with, I don't know where to start with. Okay, this is in like no order by the way. So the first book that I loved from last year was Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. This book, I think I gave it 5 stars. It was my favourite out of the whole Twisted series. I loved it. It's a really slow burn romance though, like really slow, so you have to really get through it, but I loved it. It's a billionaire romance about Stella, who is basically an influencer, and Christian, who's basically the head of security, or like he owns a security company or something. I can't remember like what exactly he does, but basically Stella moves into his apartment complex that he basically owns, and she has a stalker, and he's obviously the head of security, so he's trying to like keep her safe from the stalker. And also they have like a fake dating thing in here because she's trying to grow her following on like Instagram and stuff for her career. So he's like, oh, you can use me as your fake boyfriend and stuff. So it is a fake dating trope and I love this one. So so another book that I loved was also an Anna Huang book, and it was King of Greed. I think this is her latest book that's just come out, so it's the 3rd book of the Kings of Sin series, and it's another billionaire romance, obviously. It's about Dominic and Alessandra. So this one's basically about a marriage that's kind of in trouble. Dominic and Alessandra have been married for ages, but she doesn't think that he prioritizes her anymore, and he doesn't. He really doesn't. So she's like, I want a divorce, and he's like, no. It's just him basically groveling. How many times have I said basically? It's him just groveling to get her back, essentially. I loved it. I think it was really good, and I love seeing the backstories as well of all the characters. And you know what? I'm pretty sure they mentioned like the other characters in here. Oh my god, yeah. There was like a little cameo or whatever of, this is a spoiler guys, by the way. If you haven't read this, this is a spoiler, of like one of the twisted couples in here, which was the cutest thing ever, and I loved it. But yeah, I thought it was really good, and I feel like a lot of people didn't like the groveling that he did, or think that it wasn't good enough, but I think it was. So I love this book, and I think it was 5 stars. I did rate it 5 stars. The next book that I loved was Redeemed by Lauren Asher. So this is the last book in the series. I think it's called the Dirty Air series, but it's about Santiago and Chloe. So Santiago is basically the brother of the girl in the first book. What was her name? I can't remember her name. I love this book so much. This one had a fake dating trope as well. Basically Santiago was in an accident and he can't race anymore. So he's like in Italy in his house, and he literally does nothing, and he just like hides in his house because of his injury, and he's like really ashamed of it. So Chloe is like a girl that's looking for her dad, and she stumbles into Santi's house thinking it's her dad's house, and then they basically start fake dating, and it's the cutest thing ever. I love it. It's kind of like grumpy sunshine as well, because like ever since his accident he's been like really grumpy and not in a good mood and like kind of ashamed, and she kind of like brings him out more, and I think they really bring out the best of each other. I loved it. But that wasn't even the only reason that I love this book. I love this book because, you know, at the end where it like shows all the characters and stuff and like how they've developed over the books, it's like the cutest thing ever. And also when you read the first book of this series, like the main guy in that book, his name's Noah, and he and Santi in this book, they hate each other so much. They're on the same team, right? But they hate each other, and the way that their whole kind of like friendship develops, because they basically become brothers, it's like the cutest thing ever, and it literally made me cry. So yeah, this was my favourite in the whole series. The next book that I loved was Happy Place by Emily Henry. How cute is this cover, by the way? This was my first Emily Henry book that I've read, and I'm obsessed with it. I love her writing so much. It was basically about a couple called Win and Harriet, and they were together but they broke up, but none of their friends know that they broke up, and every single year they go to this beach house that one of their friends owns, and they spend the summers there. They go there again this summer, but their friends don't know that they broke up, so they pretend to be together still. It's basically a second chance romance. I think this was definitely my top 5 books like of last year. I love books about like friendship groups and anything based on like a summer beach house. After I read this, I went through like a massive phase of just reading second chance romances for like a month. So the next book that I loved was The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I actually gave this book a 3.5, but I'm going to change it to a 4 because it was actually a 4. I think the only reason I gave it a 3.5 was because it took me like a whole month to read it, but that wasn't because it was bad, it was because I was just like not in the mood to read that month. It's about this girl called Meredith, and she's recently like lost her sister, so she's struggling with like her grief as well. But basically her cousin is getting married, so she made the maid of honor, and every single summer they go to Martha's Vineyard. They used to play this game where I can't even remember like what the game was called or anything, but it was basically like you have someone's name and you have to like get them out by the end of the week or something by like squatting them with water or something like that. But basically this year when they go, obviously it's her cousin's wedding, so like the groom's side's gonna be there, so she's the maid of honor and there's also the best man, so it's like a romance between them two, and they kind of make a pact that they'll both help each other win the game. So that is what I love about this book, because it's like super competitive and it's so cute, and it's such a fun read. Oh my god, also this book is full of so many Taylor Swift references. It literally quotes her lyrics, and also it talks about her so much in this, so if you're a Swiftie and you love Taylor Swift and you love summer beach romances, this is the book for you. So the next book that I loved was In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. This book has so many tropes. I think I gave it 4 stars. It's a really good book about a girl called Shay. I think her godmother or her grandmother, I can't remember who, passed away, and they left her like, this farm that she used to stay at like when she was in high school in like a small town where she lived during high school. It's a small town romance, and it's also a single dad trope because she finds this guy there that used to be her best friend, and he's looking after like his niece. So he's basically like her main guardian, so it's like a single dad trope. It's also grumpy sunshine trope because she's like super happy, cute, and like bubbly all the time, and he is so grumpy, but he's obsessed with her. Like the second that you read his point of view, he's obsessed with her, and he's been obsessed with her since they were in like high school, so it's like childhood friends to lovers. And it's so cute because he like shows that he's not obsessed with her, so she thinks that he's not, but he actually is, like when you read his POV. Also, one of the conditions in the will was that if Shay wanted the farm, she had to be married within like a year or something. So it's like that kind of trope. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, I loved this book. It was really cute. 4 stars. The next book is actually a fantasy book, The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I love every single book that Stephanie Garber writes. Like I loved the entire Caraval series, and obviously I love the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. This book, I think about it all the time. Like I just don't know if anything will ever top this book. It was just perfect. Like obviously it was really sad because it was like the middle book of a trilogy, so it ended on like the worst thing that it could possibly end on. But yeah. So the series is about a girl called Evangeline, and she's basically trying to stop the boy that she loves from marrying another girl. So she goes to the Prince of Hearts' church to like ask for his help to stop the wedding, but obviously he's not gonna help her out of the goodness of his heart, so he makes a bargain with her. So he will help her stop the wedding as long as she gives him something in return, and the story basically follows how she basically owes him stuff afterwards, and it's kind of like this big plan and like plot twist that happens, but you guys have to read it. I would really recommend this series. It's literally, I think it's probably one of my favourite series I've ever read. If I could give it more than 5 out of 5 stars, I would. That was the last book in the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!